What is innovation and why does it matter? Find out in today's episode. One of the biggest decisions you will ever make is whether you're going to invent or not. So make sure you take that decision very seriously. So people ask me all the time, what is disruptive innovation and why does it matter? Well, let me give you a couple of stories about that. Remember the old Hertz cars? They had the never lost system on it, and it was always wrong. Well, what happened to never lost? Do you ever see one of those in a Hertz rental car anymore? Ever see one of those anywhere? No, because the iPhone disrupted it. Google Maps disrupted it, and so anybody who was relying on the income from never lost, suddenly they didn't have a business. Let me tell you another story. Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, that used to be the premier place for people to get information in the world, and what happened to them? They hardly are even around anymore because they've been disrupted by Google, by all kinds of online, by all kinds of alternative ways for people to get their information. But the executives at Encyclopedia Britannica recognized this years ago, so they reconfigured themselves. They started investing money into online resources. They started restructuring their sales force, and they did a lot of things to get on the online presence. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work because when you think information, do you think Encyclopedia Britannica? Of course not. You think Google, you think all kinds of alternative sources, but not that. So they were a little bit late to the game. Now, Nokia is another story I'll tell you, a really quick, very interesting story. Did you know that Nokia started off as a boot manufacturer and a textile company? That's all they did. And in the 40s and the 50s, they decided to restructure their company and move into electronics. It was a big, huge gamble. And as you know, they were king of cell phones for a while until they got bested by some other suppliers, and then they reconfigured themselves again. But here's the important thing about Nokia. They invested a lot of money to make the leap. They saw disruptive technology coming, and they shedded the old businesses so they could create the money and the time and the resources for the new businesses. Blockbuster, and what can I say about Blockbuster? They're toast. They're toast. And I mean, who couldn't see the rise of Amazon? Who couldn't see the rise of digital media? Who couldn't see that? But Blockbuster decided, like many executives do, to hang on to what they had and just hope for the best, and it ended the company. Who didn't see Netflix coming? For God's sake, everybody saw them coming. Blockbuster had to see them coming. And you know what? This is really funny because I think Netflix is like old school now, old technology now. Like, who wants discs anymore? I don't even have a CD player. But I know a lot of people who swap those discs every month for new discs. So their core business is still going strong. But Amazon is going to put a bullet in Netflix. There won't be a Netflix around in 5 years. One other thing about innovation that's important that you need to be careful of is the Chinese. Now, people don't think of the Chinese as innovators, and they pretty much are, although I would say they're copycat innovators. And if you're going to compete with the Chinese, and you really don't have any choice, especially if you're an American manufacturer, you have to either do it on innovation or you have to do it by being cheaper. But you cannot out-cheap the Chinese. A friend of mine, Jed Yue, who is the CEO and founder of Delphix and a legend in the Silicon Valley, he wrote a book called Disrupt or Die. And his book and his title puts it very succinctly. If you don't disrupt your own industry, somebody else is going to disrupt you, and then you won't have a company anymore. At Miller, we took this to heart. We developed a new suite of safety products that totally disrupted the industry because people hadn't done it before. It had never been done before. The need was there, the market need was there, the problem was there, the opportunity was there, but everyone was solving the problem that existed in the marketplace with old technology and manual technology, and we totally disrupted the industry by introducing this groundbreaking technology. If we didn't introduce this groundbreaking technology, we'd go the way of people who got disrupted because we were relying solely on our legacy products, which produce good margins, which are reliable, and which are everyday, steady Eddie kind of products. But we could see that those products had a limited shelf life, and in another 5 or 10 years, we wouldn't be around if we hadn't done this. If you're watching this video now, what your takeaway on this is you need to think about innovation. You can no longer rely on your legacy products. You can no longer rely on the way things have always been. You need to start thinking very seriously about how you can make groundbreaking innovation. I don't mean incremental innovations. I mean groundbreaking, phenomenal, change the industry innovations. That's what I'm talking about.